Internal Communications Manager.
I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. This is Board of Directors meeting of Tuesday, November 20th. And I'd like you all to please rise for the invocation by Pastor Gerald Michaud.
Thank you. Mayor, 1939, I was born a few blocks from here. This is an honor, and this is a great city, and we're believing that God will give you great wisdom to direct the affairs of this city. And our Heavenly Father, we acknowledge you because you tell us to acknowledge you in all of our ways, and you will direct our paths. And Father, these that you have placed in this capacity, Lord, to work out and do the things that are right for this city, we're looking to you for that grace and for that wisdom. Bless now the meeting this evening, as you know, the business that is at hand, and give grace and wisdom. And Father, continue to bless this great city, continue to bless this board and the mayor, that we, oh God, will lead this city with your good blessings upon it. We give you thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. We'll call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Davidson. Jones.
Here.
Clark. Williams.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
McCabe.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll consider approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
I would like to make that motion, but I would like to include in that motion, pulling from the agenda tonight, item number 7, Resolution R-18-150.
Second.
So we have a motion to remove item 7, R-18-150 from the agenda. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Director Foley. All in favor of the motion to remove item 7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Motion
Second.
second by Director Foley. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mayor, for the benefit of the public, the item that was removed from tonight's agenda was the first item under new business regarding a resolution authorizing an intercity transit advertising policy.
Very good, thank you. This time we'll consider approval of the minutes. We had 2 sets of minutes of October 16th, 2018, which is a regularly scheduled meeting, as well as a special call meeting on October 30th, 2018. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion by Director Jones, seconded by Director Garcia to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Under recognition of guests, we have 2 proclamations, and I asked Director Foley to read the proclamation regarding Small Business Saturday on November 24th.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proclamation from the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas. Whereas the government of Hot Springs, Arkansas celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 30.2 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all businesses with employees in the United States, are responsible for 65.9% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2017. And whereas small businesses employ 47.5% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, and whereas 90% of the consumers in the United States say Small Business Saturday has a positive impact on our community, And whereas 89% of consumers who are aware of Small Business Saturday said the day encourages them to shop small all year long, and whereas 73% of consumers who reportedly shopped small at independently owned retailers and restaurants on Small Business Saturday did so with friends or family, and whereas the most reported reason for consumers aware of the day to shop and dine at small independently owned businesses was to support their community, that was 64%, and whereas the Hot Springs, Arkansas supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our community. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as a Small Business Saturday, now therefore Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the City of Hot Springs, does hereby proclaim November 24th, 2018, and Small Business Saturday in Hot Springs, Arkansas, in witness whereof he has hereunto set his hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this 20th day of November in the year of our Lord, 2018. Pat McCabe, Mayor.
Thank you. So please recognize that Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. So we have one final proclamation, and it's regarding Giving Tuesday. In advance of the meeting tonight, we had a lot of very worthy nonprofits come up for a photo op, and I'm going to present this to them, but I do ask that they come up to the podium, and then after the reading of the proclamation, Sally Culberth will outline all the organizations that are presented today. And this is just but a sampling of the very fine organizations that look forward to Giving Tuesday each year. So, proclamation, City of Hot Springs, Arkansas, Garland County Giving Tuesday 2018. Whereas many of our fellow citizens are in need of care, enrichment, and services, and whereas these needs are not completely met with public funding or agencies, and whereas nonprofits of Garland County have stepped in to fill these cultural service gaps and must raise the resources to fulfill their unique missions in our community. And whereas Giving Tuesday is a day designated for online donations as a way that communities can support the missions of their chosen charities. Now, therefore, I, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the City of Hot Springs, do hereby proclaim November 27th, 2018 as Giving Tuesday in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this 20th day of November in the year of our Lord, 2018. Thank you, each and every one of you, for what you do as an organization and all that you serve.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of the nonprofits that are represented here tonight, we are just a small sample of the many, many nonprofits that are doing amazing work here in Garland County. We have Garland County Habitat for Humanity, Teen Challenge of Arkansas, Washita Children's Center. We are the nonprofit family here. Friends of Hot Springs National Park, CCMC, OBHW, Healthy Connections, and Tri-Lakes CASA. And on behalf of us as nonprofits, we appreciate the involvement of this community in supporting the work that we do and together making this community a much better place for all citizens. And we are certainly excited that Tuesday is Giving Tuesday, and we know that you'll all go to your favorite nonprofits online and share your bounty with those of us who are working to help our community grow. So thank you very much.
Thank you all, and thank you for what you do. At this time, kind of a procedural requirement to read a proclamation declaring the results of the 2018 City Board election. Proclamation reads as follows. Proclamation declaring results of election, office of the mayor. I, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim that at the general election held on November 6, 2018, in the city of Hot Springs, Arkansas, the following votes were cast for directors on the Hot Springs Board of Directors. District 2, Director Elaine Jones, 483 votes. Billy Blackman, 276 votes. LaDonte Walker Sr., 167 votes. District 4, Dan Bugg, 648 votes. Carol Weatherford, 837 votes. Dudley Webb III, 730 votes. Carol Weatherford had 837 and Dudley Webb had 730. District 5, Rick Ramick, 865 votes. Director Karen Garcia, 1,556 votes. In the mayor race, Brenda Brandenburg, 4,110 votes. Mayor Pat McCabe, 6,602 votes. Given this 20th day of November 2018, signed by myself, Mayor Pat McCabe.
Congratulations.
Take any further action than reading it?
None required, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Now we'll move into the city manager's report. Mr. Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As you know, we didn't meet that first meeting in November, so we do have a few things. First, I'd like to thank all the public safety organizations, Hot Springs Police Department, Garland County Sheriff's Office, the fire department for Boo with a Badge. Another great success, even though we did have some heavy rains on Halloween, they were able to move inside the Central Fire Department, and several hundred kids were still able to go through and experience a fun night on Halloween with Boo with a Badge. So we appreciate all of our partners and all of our public safety employees that took part in that. Secondly, Animal Control held its annual rabies drive and issued over 375 vaccines in one day. In addition, Garland County Sheriff officers were there, and they were handing out free vouchers for spay and neuter. And in my discussions with Under Sheriff Jason Lawrence and Sheriff Mike McCormick, that was the largest turnout that they've had for their vouchers as well. So it was a very successful event. We plan on having more of those in 2019. Hopefully we can get about one a quarter. So we appreciate their involvement. I'd like to say congratulations to Anthony Whittington and the Parks and Trails Department. Parks and Trails recently received the Festival of the Year Award at the Arkansas Recreation and Parks Association Conference held November 7th through the 9th. The award was for the Tykes, Trikes, and Trails event held annually at Energy Park. And I believe Ken Freeman, who is our trails coordinator with the city, actually started that program several years ago. We had another successful Operation Clean Sweep. Some of the stats that the Solid Waste Department sent, as you know, we go through on the first week and make some of our homeowners aware of certain violations that may exist on their property. The second week, Solid Waste goes through and they collect any type of debris for free at the curbside to help clean up some of the areas that we were in. And then on that third week, we have some of our planning and neighborhood services go back through to make sure that the violations that they were notified were corrected. But Solid Waste during that particular Clean Sweep week collected almost 34 tons, 33.98 tons of miscellaneous debris, large items, brush, things that were left at curbside, and the litter crew collected an astonishing 2.3 tons of litter. Wow. So this is a very successful program. We plan to continue those moving forward in 19, and again, we try to do one a quarter. Just want to say kudos for Gary Carnahan and the work he's been doing with the Whittington Flap Grant. We have that design at about 30% complete, and really we have several members of our city staff that are part of a larger group that we call our Complete Streets team. And this particular item is a grant that was awarded for $690,000 that will transform part of Whittington Avenue. The total project is about $846,000, Elements of the project include bike lanes, sidewalk improvement, a multi-use trail, ADA accessibility, and related landscape and stormwater improvements. So, anytime you can get $700,000 from our feds to help us make these happen, it's always a good feeling. And talking about grants, just this week we were notified that our county that we've cooperated with on the Southwest Trail received $320,000 in a grant that both the city and the county will be partnering on. That Southwest Trail actually is a trail that will come from Central High in Little Rock, and it will end here in Hot Springs at our national park. So very excited to see that moving through. We have an item coming up on the agenda for the Wetlands Trailhead, and we were notified that we received $500,000 for the grant there. That's about a $625,000 project. Then just notified that we've got full funding for David Watkins Park in another grant that we received. So I think that was an outdoor recreation, I believe. So I want to thank Anthony Whittington and all of those that participated in making that particular grant come to fruition. What a great day! What a great time to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas. This week has been phenomenal. I mean, you think about the Northwoods and being able to open those and seeing the number of enthusiastic riders that were there. Man, it was really something to see. And if we think that there were a lot of people here Friday and Saturday, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I've seen cars this week with bikes on the back of their cars with Idaho license plates. This is going to be something really, really big. We had the Oaklawn announcement of their expansion in the 200-room luxury hotel. The Majestic Site certification. We've got a clean bill of health on the Majestic Site, so we can move forward with that project. So, again, very excited. Wayfinding. Found out that we got the wayfinding grant, and I got a notice to proceed today that I sent over to our partner with the Metropolitan Planning Organization. So wayfinding will be happening around the city. And then just the chili cook-off and the Christmas lights. Again, it's just a great time to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And the last thing, Mayor, is tonight is Public Information Coordinator Tara Hauser's last board meeting. Tara will be leaving for a new and challenging position in Northwest Arkansas. We certainly wish Tara the best and thank her for providing excellent city communications during the past 2 years. So, Tara, I know you're there in the control booth, and just want to let you know that you've done a great job, and we're certainly going to miss you. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. A lot of great things happening, so thank you very much. This time we'll entertain announcements from directors on upcoming events.
I have one, Mayor.
Yes, Director Jones.
On Sunday, December the 2nd, at 501 Prime, the Gateway Pleasant Street Association will be having a Sunday brunch. You have to call early to get tickets because the seating is limited. There's an early seating and a late seating. I think the early is 12 and the late is 1. Don't quote me on that one now. And then I have some old business. That happened last night. I was a judge again. This is my 14th year judging the chili. But I had a real strong peel, and it worked. First time. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. I'm not quite sure how to follow that.
You can't.
Do we have any other upcoming events? Or a medication update? I have one. The Friday at 5 o'clock, dino lights will be turned on at Mid-America Science Museum. They have, 14 or so dinosaurs out in their grounds, and they've decorated them with 14 or so different sponsors. Each took one and dolled them up real nice with lights and some type of individual theme. So they'll start this Friday at 5, and then that'll be a regular admission to the Mid-America Science Museum. There's no additional cost on that. And then of course, Garland Woodland Gardens is, once again, will be a very top shelf event, as they always are. Do we know when is that open now?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so you can hit 2 different light shows plus downtown and Arlington Park, so please enjoy all the holiday lights. If there's no other announcements of upcoming events, we'll proceed to the consent agenda. These are of routine nature and generally don't merit discussion, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Director Williams, seconded by Director Foley. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 Fine. Thank you. This time we'll move into new business. Item 7 was scratched, so we move into item 8. Consider resolution number R18151 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R18151, a resolution naming a new public trailhead along the Hot Springs Creek Greenway Trail, the Gene Wallace Wetlands Trailhead. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Very good. Motion to adopt?
So move.
Director Garcia, seconded by Director Jones. Mr. Whittington, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What we're bringing to you tonight is the renaming the TV Hill Wetlands Trail at the Hot Springs Creek Greenway after former Parks and Trails Director Gene Wallace. As the administrative policy titled Naming Public and Parkland Park Facilities, and ensures that the naming rights are controlled by the Hot Springs Board of Directors through recommendations from Hot Springs Parks and Trails Director with advice from the Parks and Trails Advisory Committee. Qualifying name should provide some sort of individual identity in relation to several criteria. One of the eligible criteria being a commonly recognized historical event, group, organization, or individual. The Hot Springs Trails Advisory Committee voted unanimously to have Gene Wallace named for this trailhead. As you know, she worked 29 years with as the Parks and Trails Director. During her tenure, she fundamentally transformed Hot Springs. She started the Greenway Trail back in the late 90s, as you can see on your screens here. It starts at the transportation depot, and currently where the utility service trail section is where the trail, it ends about 850 feet past the Golf Links Bridge. That's where the pavement ends, and that's kind of where the turnaround is. November 28th, we will have a dedication at noon, which is a week from tomorrow. Director Garcia, the mayor, deputy city manager, myself, and others are going to speak at this event. The public is welcome, and parking is going to be at Adams and Seneca Street. The red shaded area on the map is where the Gene Wallace Trailhead is proposed to be. That is the TV Hill section. If you go down TV Hill, you'll notice that the road has been extended down by our street department to build the trailhead for the. We do have grant funding up to the trailhead right now from a previous transportation alternative grant through Department of Transportation. So. During the 60-day period, we advertised it twice and had no negative comments. So, thank you.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Whittington? Thank you. We had no members of the public sign up to speak on this particular issue. Any discussion amongst directors?
I just think it's a wonderful thing to be doing for Jean. I remember when she first started this, she came to me and she said, we're getting ready to do something in District 2 and it's going to go all the way out to wherever, she said, by the lake. And I said, are you going to build a swimming pool or something along that creek? No. I said, what are you talking about? She said, we're going to walk. And I just laughed at it because it was funny then. You know, back in the 90s, that was something unbelievable, a walking trail all the way out by the lake. And here it's come to for real now. And she's not here tonight. I wish she had been, but I hope it's a surprise, sort of, to her. Sort of, kind of.
She knows a little bit about it.
Okay. She's well worth it. Good, good. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Thank you. Resolution is adopted. At this time, we'll consider resolution number R18152 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-18-152, a resolution authorizing interlocal agreement for animal control services between Garland County and the City of Hot Springs. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Foley, seconded by
I'll second it.
She said she sat out there and waited.
Director Williams.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Bill, I'll be happy to review this. Mayor, this is a continuation of the 2018 interlocal governmental agreement between the City of Hot Springs and Garland County for animal control services. This was an effort that began this past year in which the city and the county equally shared the budgetary operations of the animal control services. A collaborative effort between both entities, and has worked really, really well. Bill and I met with the chief and his staff, along with the county judge-elect, the sheriff, the undersheriff, and it only took us about 30 minutes, really, to work it out this year because it worked so well last year. The changes that you'll see in this year's contract, first of all, the budget amount is less this year. Last year's budget was $695,226. This year, the budget amount is $674,730, and so there's a reduction there. And with the exception of adoption fees, all fees at the animal services will be retained by the city. The adoption fees will go back in to offset the expenses and be treated as revenue, but the county has agreed to match that amount at the end of the year. So again, it puts us back in a 50-50 position.
Very good. Thank you for the explanation. Any questions of Mr. Albright? Like I said, we didn't have anybody sign up to speak on this subject. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jones.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. This time we'll consider resolution number R-18-153 and ask city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-18-153, a resolution adopting a budget for the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas for the year 2019. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
I'll make that motion.
Director Williams.
Second.
Seconded by Director Garcia. And Mr. Burrows will provide an overview.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. I appreciate the Board of Directors working through several hours of presentation and discussion just a few weeks ago as we had the work session regarding the 2019 budget for the City of Hot Springs. I would also like to thank Doretha Yates, our Finance Director, for the many hours we worked together to produce the budget document that is in your packet this evening. In addition, I thank Minnie Lennox and Lance Spicer and all the department heads for their work and preparation of their respective budgets, each having a line item review with Doretha and I. And finally, I want to thank the employees of the City of Hot Springs. It's their efforts throughout the year that allow us to consistently perform to our best, and their diligence for efficiency and cost containment that allow us to outperform our budget expectations on a consistent basis year after year. It is my pleasure to present the 2019 budget for the City of Hot Springs. This budget is balanced and has been prepared in accordance with Arkansas budget law and applicable local ordinances. The 2019 total budget is $115.2 million. This budget is specifically designed to align with the Board of Directors' vision and priorities for the City of Hot Springs. There are many items worth noting, however, there are three I'd like to highlight. This budget includes funding for a comprehensive plan. The current plan was developed in 1997. Though there was a bare bones update in 2010, our city is much different today than it was in 2010 and certainly has changed since 1997. So we're pleased to be able to get this comprehensive plan in the 2019 budget and have tried many years, so we've got it in there this year. Secondly, the board has made it clear that public safety is a priority. This budget recognizes that priority. As you know, the city has a public safety half-cent sales tax, which generates $6.8 million a year. When that tax was passed, the city committed to continuing the general fund subsidy of $8.4 million. This 2019 budget continues that obligation of $8.4 million, as well as an additional $4.4 million from the general fund and $1.3 million from revenues received from the Oak Lawn Games of Skill. And finally, this budget includes a 2% cost of living increase for all employees, uniformed and non-uniformed. In addition, a job audit will be conducted during December and January. Those results will be presented to the board at a work session upon receipt of the data. We will use the firm Square D, which is the Johansson Group that performed the original JSAP audit back in 2005-2006. With that, Mayor, I present the 2019 budget, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Burrows?
I can do this one of two ways. I can ask you questions. You covered some of the highlights. I think there's some other things that I'd like for the public to know that are included in the budget. So you want me to ask you a question or make a statement and you correct me?
Go ahead and make your statement.
Okay. This budget includes $50,000 for public meetings regarding the future of the Majestic, former Majestic Hotel site.
That is correct.
It also includes, and this is in my district, a provision for a tent-like shading for part of the park at Kimmery.
That is correct.
Okay? And it also includes $300,000 for odor relief in the wastewater fund.
That is correct.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Very good.
And it also includes no new positions.
It does not have any new positions in it this year, yes.
Okay. Those were notes I made from our budget meeting.
Director Garcia.
I just wanted to bring out something else that was of interest to the Area B residents that were annexed in. The item that we had included for the solid waste collection contract that was in the consent agenda was because that area that was annexed into the city had a contract under the county for 2 years. So the city will not begin actually picking up the solid waste until the following year, but we will begin at the first of the year for recycling. Is that correct?
We will begin all other services for solid waste at the beginning of the year. The contractor that the county was using, she's become our contractor to fulfill the remainder of her 5-year contract she had with the county. We will begin billing as we would any resident of the city. However, for those particular routes, those particular areas, both A and B, we will continue with the vendor currently there. The county is going back out for their bids at the end of 2019, which will afford this particular vendor the opportunity to bid again on other areas that they'll have opened up. So we wanted to make sure that she remained whole as we move through the process.
Thank you very much. And another item was the extended hours for the bus routes system. I believe that's being extended to 8 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I think that will be able to help assist people with transportation that may be getting off work after the hours that the bus was running, and extending those hours is hopefully to help people, and hopefully in the future that will continue to be extended.
And one of the things, Director Garcia, we will be doing some tracking of that ridership so we can see how successful the prolonged hours are, and we'll be able to bring some information back to the board at a later date with that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Fowler?
Yes, I would like to clarify on the pickup services in Annexed Area B. The city is still responsible for that. We've just contracted a provider to provide that, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that is part of our services. I just want to congratulate you. We're looking at a budget increase in expenses of 1.2%. After giving the employees a 2%, means you have made a lot of cutting in this budget. And yet, when you look at the services that are provided to the community, you've found a way to expand the services. So I just want to congratulate you on a well-done budget.
Thank you. And again, I can pass that on to the department heads. They came in we had a budget directive to try to keep that at a 1% increase. Each one of the department heads, for the most part, came in with that. And if not, we sat there with that department head and Doretha, myself, Lance, and we worked through the issues. And so it was truly a collaborative effort to get to the budget document that we see today. So I appreciate that.
And the budget document, once finalized, will be on the website for access to any citizen. Is that correct?
Sure. We'll get a link to that.
Any other questions of Mr. Burrows?
Just congratulations, and don't eat all the pie.
Thank you.
Hearing none, please call the roll.
Williams?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Foley?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
McCabe?
Aye. Resolution is adopted.
Yes, sir.
This time we'll consider Resolution R18-154, and that's city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R18-154, a resolution approving the sale of certain city-owned property in Hot Springs Reservation, 49 block of Orange Street, Parcel 54370 to Monolith Properties Corp., subject to certain conditions. That concludes your reading, Mayor. This item was on your meeting of October 2nd, 2018, where it received a motion and a second to adopt. There was discussion and subsequently tabled until tonight's meeting, so no motion to approve is necessary at this time. Simply resume your discussion of the tabled item.
Oh, very good. Okay, so Mr. Spitzer is going to give a report.
Yes, sir. I will give you a recap of the item. As Mr. Albright stated, this item was tabled at your October 2nd meeting. This particular item is a request to purchase some city property. It's located at the intersection of Orange and Rugg Street. It is a relatively small piece of property. It's about 4,500 square feet in total. So you're looking at about 57 feet by 80 feet. The property itself, it's currently zoned M1 in our zoning classification, light manufacturing. The property itself is surrounded by, not necessarily surrounded, but it's adjacent to some property that Monolith Corporation currently owns that is adjacent to it. There's also the existing property that is part of kind of their larger project, which I see Mr. Kim Hankey, he is, I believe he signed up to speak or would like to address the board on a few items. But the former Hot Springs High School, the gymnasium, it's part of this project. So really the proposed use of the property would be to use it for accessory parking for the former gymnasium. The Monolith Corporation at your October 2nd meeting had made an offer of $3,000 for the purchase price. An appraisal was conducted earlier in the year, and the appraised price was $3,700 for this particular piece of property. This time, I believe at the conclusion of your October 2nd meeting, Mr. Girolamo had offered to purchase the property for that appraised amount. I believe that still stands, and so at this time, we would, staff's recommendation is the property itself is, in essence, surplus property. It has no real use for the city. It's an irregular shaped lot that is unbuildable from that standpoint. It was likely acquired longer ago when the central fire station was being constructed, but at this point, city has no real destined use for it. So our recommendation would be to dispatch of the surplus property for the appraised price of $3,700.
Any questions of Mr. Spicer? So on the resolution number R18154, there's a blank space in the amount of.
Yes.
So we're going to pencil in 3,700
We will.
or ink it in?
That's our recommendation, yes, sir. I didn't want to be too presumptuous.
Well, I understand that, but it's blank now. How do we?
Yes.
Do we have to do any amending of a motion or anything?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, do we do that this time, or do we hear from the petitioner?
I'd hear from the petitioner at this point.
Very good. Mr. Hankey, last time I didn't spell out the rules and we went a little long, so hopefully we can do this in 3 minutes or so.
We have a 1.5-minute video, I believe, that I'd like for the directors to see. The completed project done by Harris Architectural Firm, the rendering of the outside of the building and then the inside. And the property across the street from this building is going to go a long way for parking for what we have planned here. So that's really our interest in the little sliver of land. Are we going to get it going?
I don't know if it's...
I only have a 1.5 minutes left.
Okay, cool.
Jennifer had it going yesterday. She said she was going to instruct you.
Let's see.
So this was just to show that we've already invested a lot of money in the project already through architectural firms. And the acquisition of this little sliver of land will really help in our long-term goals.
So the purchase price is $3,700.
Yes, we agree to that. I'm here representing Monolith Properties, and they've agreed to that. Well, I guess my 3 minutes is up. What do you think?
I think you said everything you probably had to say.
That's all I had to say. I was just hoping you could see the video just to show the seriousness of what we're doing.
Very good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So if we're going to proceed, we'll need to have a motion to amend Resolution R18154 and insert the price of $3,700. Director Garcia.
Mr. Mayor, could I ask a question first?
Certainly.
And this overall plan looks very good, and I'm not opposed to that. My question is, since we purchased the property with taxpayer money and we don't have a process for selling, do we need or is it the right thing to do to have a public notice that we are going to sell it before we accept the final offer?
I think we went over that at the agenda meeting since we had a bona fide offer. We have to act on that. Going forward, the city attorney was going to develop a process by which we can sell. State law is very clear on how to purchase property. It's very unclear as to how to sell excess property. So we didn't want to, what would be the right term, disadvantage the individual or individuals that came forward on this particular property, because they are paying now the appraised price.
I'm for this project, and the parties have negotiated in good faith with the city. But moving forward, as I brought up at the last meeting, I do think that we need to have a policy. And if the board will just indulge me, I don't have much time left on this board. And Lance, I'm going to give this to you as soon as the meeting's over, but in the future, I'd like for us to consider a policy like this so that anybody that wants to purchase city property will know what the process is. I had a job for 16 years where I had the duty of having the responsibility for management of county property. So this is the state law concerning how counties proceed with the sale of property. If the appraised value of the property to be sold exceeds the sum of $2,000, the county judge may sell the property to the highest and best bidder upon sealed bids received by the judge or by internet sale. And then skipping down, the property, when it exceeds the appraised value of $2,000, shall not be sold for less than 3/4 of the appraised value as determined by certificate of the assessor. Notice of the sale shall be published for 2 consecutive weekly insertions in some newspaper published having a general circulation in the county. The notice shall specify the description of the property to be sold, the time and place for submitting written bids, including that the sale may be conducted on the internet, and the appraised value of the property to be sold. The notice shall be dated and signed by the judge. If the sale is conducted on the internet, the notice shall be placed on the internet under this section, and the invoice from the internet vendor or publisher shall be accompanied by a statement from the internet vendor or publisher that the sale was published and conducted on the internet. I think moving forward in the future, I'd like to see us have something similar to this. I probably won't be here to vote on it, but I'm going to give this to you, Lance, and it's got other information I think you might find useful.
Very good. Any other comments?
I think I've been challenged to bring this to the board before the end of the year.
I heard
Mayor.
that.
No, you don't have to bring it before the end of the year, I don't intend, you can wait me out if you want to.
Larry Williams.
That's what
it'll
you
happen.
say.
We'll have it.
Okay.
He might vote against it. He might not like it.
No, I'm on board for this tonight.
Okay, so I've lost track. Who do? We need to have an amendment to insert 3,700 into the purchase price.
I'll make that motion.
Second. We got a motion by Director Williams and seconded by Director Foley to amend the resolution R18-154 by inserting $3,700 as the purchase price of the property. We have call the roll.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Garcia,
No.
Foley,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Now, that was a motion to amend.
That did.
Correct.
So now we have a purchase price of $3,700, and just for further information to let the public understand, what the city received was a letter of intent. It wasn't an offer and acceptance, as we typically refer to them as. And so this resolution states that, subject to the review and approval of the city attorney, the mayor, and the city clerk, are hereby authorized to execute a real estate contract, i.e. an offer and acceptance at this point in order to go to closing. So this won't come back to the board again for the execution of an offer and acceptance and a deed. You're authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to do that should you pass this resolution as amended.
Okay.
Okay.
So now I need a motion to approve resolution R18-154 as amended.
May I so move as amended?
Motion by Director Elaine
Second.
Jones, seconded by Director Williams. Discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jones,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Garcia,
No.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Aye.
McCabe.
Resolution is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance 01838. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Motion to suspend the rules.
I so move.
Director Garcia,
Second.
seconded by Director Williams. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Council, please read by Title.
Ordinance 01838, an ordinance approving CTR Commercial Transitional District zoning on 0.5 acres on Bell Street Alley, 14001, west of Central Avenue, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
I so move, Mayor.
Second.
Director Jones and Director Garcia. And we have Director Selman, Director of Planning.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Thanks. The applicant on this item is B&F Engineering Incorporated on behalf of the property owner Oak Lawn Jockey Club, who is seeking CTR commercial transitional zoning for approximately 1/2 acre site at the southeast intersection of Bell Street and City Alley 14001, and running approximately 270 feet along the south side of that alley. Currently, the property is vacant. It previously was improved with a single-family residence, which has been removed. Surrounding zoning includes R3 low-medium density residential to the north and west, CTR Commercial Transitional District to the south, and C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District to the east. The applicant states that the intended purpose for rezoning is to develop it as additional parking for Oak Lawn Jockey Club patrons. Planning Commission duly advertised and held a hearing on October 9th, 2018, to consider CTR commercial transitional zoning. Following a call for testimony, Planning Commission accepted the findings of the staff report that the change is consistent with the Hot Springs zoning code and will help to implement an approved city plan. Planning Commission voted 9-0 to accept the findings in the staff report and recommend approval to the Board of Directors, and their recommendation is to adopt the ordinance, so zoning the 1/2 acres.
Very good. Any questions of Director Selman? Director Garcia?
And at the meeting, it was my understanding that there was no opposition from any of the other owners in that area.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any further questions of Director Selman?
This may not be for Director Selman, but has there been any discussion of vacating Alley 14001?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
We have one individual who has signed up to speak on this issue, Mr. Matthew Breckenridge. Mr. Breckenridge, please come forward, state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Breckenridge with B&F Engineering. I'm representing Oak Lawn Jockey Club. My address is 928 Airport Road, 71913. Ms. Selman did a great job explaining what we're trying to do, and I'm here just to answer any technical questions that you may have at this time. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions amongst board members? Discussion amongst board members? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Brings us down to Board of Directors' comments. Any,
Oh, I have something to tell you. And it was a surprise last night at the chili cook-off. We were entertained by a new judge, Mr. Rex Nelson.
yes. Was he a worthy judge?
I don't know. I told him, I said, if you got anything bad to say, you see me.
Did you give him one of your pills?
He needed one after he ate all right. We had 48 entries. 48.
Director Foley.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to give a shout out to Denny McFate and his crew. I had a constituent call about some disrepair on their street, and I talked to Denny, and before I could get back to this citizen, it was already fixed.
Wow.
So I just want to thank him and his crew for the prompt work. I also want to give a shout out to Garland County Deputy Sheriff Fred Hawthorne and another deputy whose name I do not have for helping the Eastgate 2 Halloween debacle that always takes place in that neighborhood, which has become a safety hazard. Last year, they couldn't get a fire truck down the road that was so congested. And, we've been encouraging neighborhoods to get together and take care of their neighborhoods and be supportive of each other. And they asked the city to help them in a problem. The police department was very supportive, but we had Boo with the Badge that night, and everybody was on duty. And we got the help from the two sheriff's deputies, so I want to give a shout out to them and thank him. Thank you, Mayor.
Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. This is our first meeting since the election, and just wanted to thank everybody that went out and voted. We had good turnout, and especially thank the voters in District 5 and allowing me to continue here. And I wanted to say congratulations to a former Mountain Pine resident, Bobby Bones, for winning Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
And he was formerly worked at a radio station here in Hot Springs, and went to Henderson State University, and now he's got the mirror ball.
Yeah.
How many more meetings do we have left?
Probably 2.
Okay, I just want
Plus
to be
2
sure that
agenda
I'm
meetings.
given time at the last meeting for a few brief remarks.
Do we have to vote on that?
Brief?
Brief, yeah.
Why change?
Okay.
I have a shout out to the Downtown Merchants Association. A few years back, when the Central Business Improvement District 2 was dissolved, there was a lot of concern with what was going to happen in downtown Hot Springs and who would pick up the ball and be able to fund certain activities. Certainly the Downtown Merchants Association has done that, and I think we all see the lights on the tree trunks, the ornamental trees that line Central Avenue on the business side, and then down on the north end of both sides of Central Avenue, and it's really very nice to have that. It's an excellent look and provides additional lighting, and makes our town very beautiful. Those lights will be on year-round, and not to be confused with the normal holiday lights that were turned on yesterday. So, but we thank them for all their efforts and look forward to their continued enhancement of the downtown area. Now, Bill, you made a comment earlier today about some new light fixtures that we're getting on the poles, the ornamental lights. Can you outline
Sure.
to the public what we're doing there?
Sure, I see Anthony Whittington back there. There were 57 trees that were strung, and his crew with Public Works crews, they did all that. Downtown Merchants provided the funding for the lights, but they did the sweat equity. So, Anthony, thank you and your staff again. As what the mayor was just mentioning, a few years ago, we used a clear result program, and we changed all the bulbs in the decorative lights downtown. And from that point, we had more energy efficient bulbs. However, they seem to be a little bit dimmer than what we had before, and we had received some concerns or complaints over the past several months. So Denny McFate and I talked. Denny got back in touch with Clear Result, and working with one of our local vendors here, More Electric, they were able to find a bulb that's about 4 times as large but still is energy efficient. We went through that Clear Result. We were able to get 440 bulbs for $4.40, a penny a piece. So we are in the process of changing those bulbs to these larger ones. So with the tree trunk being lit, with the new bulbs in the globes on our decorative lights, our downtown will be much brighter in the evening than what it has been in the past. So those expressing concerns, we appreciate that. It made us aware of something that maybe we weren't aware of, and we were able to correct it. So I want to thank Denny and his efforts, and and we'll continue on.
Just a little add-on to that, the Downtown Merchants Association goal for next year is to extend the trunk tree lighting from where it concludes today at Prospect to go further south, I guess down to the Washita Market Street interchange there. So that will basically complete the downtown area with trunk tree lighting. So,
Very nice.
yes, Director.
Mr. Mayor, I have one other point. I'd like to thank the board for the support of developing guidelines for how we're going to use the Majestic site. I attended that ceremony where the ADEQ came in and certified the cleanup on the property. But from that vantage point, when you look south, it's just a magnificent view, and you see the real opportunity that you have to develop that site appropriately. And there is no lack of input on ideas in what people want on there. So number one, I'd like to encourage people to give their input, and two, that we make sure that we stay within the guidelines that we passed about a year ago in what would be the requirements for the use of that property. I've heard lots of proposals to just give away the services. I've heard lots of proposals to just sell to the first buyer. And I think our guidelines will help steer us through that process. So I just want to thank everybody for helping to develop that.
Good idea.
Director Foley and Director Garcia and attended that ribbon cutting, as well as myself and a lot of city staff. What we learned, and what I did not know at the time, which is really different in Arkansas than many other states, is that when you receive a certificate of completion on the removal of the hazardous waste and the property is deemed safe for all uses, the federal government still will hold the developer, the property owner / developer responsible if later on there was something that was missed, even though an agency had deemed it safe. The state of Arkansas steps in between the federal government and the newly identified problem, and they will assume responsibility for the final cleanup if something else was discovered. So that's different. That's very beneficial to the developer, that they can not only have a certificate on their wall today, but if something is discovered 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, the state of Arkansas will insulate them from any of those cleanup costs, and they'll step in and take care of that. And so they have really complete assurance that they can move forward with their project without any concern of something coming back on them. So that's going to allow any developer to really put their best foot forward in their proposals, whatever that proposal may be. So I thought that was a very interesting twist here in Arkansas.
To Director Foley's comment, just for the viewing public, you can get to those guiding values if you go to cityhs.net. There's a particular tab that will tell you everything you'd want to know about the Majestic property in terms of what we've been through the cleanup process. All those documents are available online, as well as the board's guiding values for the input that you may have for that property. There's also a place for you to add your input on what you'd like to see happen with that property. So thank you, Director Foley.
Director Williams.
I'd like for Director Jones to make her usual motion. If she doesn't, I'm going to make it for her.
Let them do it.
I move we adjourn. Thank you.
That doesn't count. You can only have the last one.
Okay, go ahead.
And board and visitors. I move that we adjourn for the night.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Drive safely.